Jaworski, McNabb, Kolb, Vick, Bradford. What do all these former Eagle quarterbacks have in common? 0 championship rings. Throughout Philadelphia Eagles history, they have consistently had a big problem. They've never been able to win the big game. So after years of losing and coming short, the question in Philly was simple. Who's next? The answer was 1,600 miles away, and his name was Carson Wentz. Wentz at 6'5", 237 pounds was on the radar of nearly every GM in the league back in 2016. He racked up over 5,000 yards, 45 touchdowns, and a passer efficiency rating of 153.9 in his senior season at North Dakota State University. The Eagles saw his stats and believed that their future franchise quarterback was playing over in North Dakota, and they were certainly correct. The Eagles selected Wentz with the 2nd overall pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, changing the future of the franchise forever. Carson Wentz made a very solid impression his rookie season, proving to all the doubters that he was worthy of being the 2nd overall selection. Carson threw for an impressive 379 completions in a steady 16-game rookie campaign. The Eagles only managed to win 7 games in 2016, but it was clear something special was brewing in a city of brotherly love. In year 2, it was clear that from the get-go, there would be no sophomore slump for Carson and the Eagles, as they managed to win 7 of their 8 first games. Wentz was an MVP candidate until Week 14 of the 2017 NFL season against the LA Rams. With the Eagles at 10-2 and the Rams at 9-3, the games definitely had a playoff atmosphere. However, in the 3rd quarter of the game, Wentz took a hit to his lower leg after scrambling into the end zone for the touchdown. Unfortunately, that hit resulted in a torn ACL for Wentz, effectively ending his season. So who was on deck to save the Eagles from missing out on one of their best opportunities to finally capture a ring in their franchise history? Of course, the legendary Nick Foles. Nick Foles was a name many remembered from his old days as an Eagle quarterback from 2012 to 2014. Foles bounced around from team to team and had stints with both the Rams and Chiefs. However, he just couldn't seem to find his way in the league. There were reports that Foles nearly retired from the NFL before the 2015 season because he simply lost his love for the game and didn't know what to do or feel anymore. But fortunately for the Eagles, he ended up reconsidering. Foles instantly made an impact for Philly, throwing for 42 yards and went 6 for 10 passing. Most importantly, he sealed the win against a tough Rams squad on the road. We all know the rest. Foles went on to win 2 of the next 3 regular season games, giving Philadelphia an impressive 13-3 record and a 1 seed going into the playoffs. Foles then went on to beat the Atlanta Falcons 15-10 in the divisional round, and a week later absolutely dominate the Minnesota Vikings 38-7 in the NFC Championship to clinch a ticket to Super Bowl 52. Nick Foles, the former backup quarterback who many critics wrote off early in his career, was now getting ready to play the biggest game of his life. Nick Foles was now facing off against arguably the greatest football player of all time, Tom Brady. Once again, after being written off for the 6th straight game, the Eagles put on an absolute show and defeated the Pats in Super Bowl 52 with a score of 41-33. Foles not only captured the MVP for the game, but something the Eagles had never had before, a Super Bowl ring. In the midst of all celebrations, many Eagles fans amazingly began to question the value of their once proclaimed savior, Carson Wentz. It's not fair to say Carson couldn't have gotten them to that same spot, but we will never know after his season was cut short. After all the drama and speculations regarding the value of Wentz, he did ultimately return to being the starter in 2018, and Foles returned to being the backup once again. Carson Wentz had a slight drop-off in 2018, only playing 11 games and throwing just 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Wentz ultimately suffered another injury, giving the reins back to Foles. Foles was then able to lead the Eagles back into the playoffs and pull out a victory against an NFC powerhouse in the Chicago Bears. The Eagles went on to lose the following week, but Foles once again put up a phenomenal showing against a great New Orleans Saints squad. Carson Wentz had to watch his backup quarterback again, while he sat back and watched. The following season, Nick Foles left to be the starting quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars and said goodbye to his very eventful career as an Eagle. Many fans were sad to see him leave, and even debated if Foles should have been granted the starting job in Philadelphia over Wentz. So this now leads us to the debate. Did the Eagles make a mistake in letting Foles go? I understand that Foles got injured in Jacksonville and lost his job to Gardner Minshew, the likely starter in 2020 for the Jags. However, there was just something that clicked in Philadelphia with Foles under center. Something we have not quite seen with Wentz even after coming off a season where he played all 16 games. The Eagles didn't want to pay as much for Foles as the NFL valued him. And after his incredible play in the playoffs 2 years in a row, but sometimes you just have to shell out the money when the time is right. Carson Wentz is still a very good quarterback, but with Nick Foles' departure, the end of the Eagles' Super Bowl window, his stats weren't always perfect, but he certainly had the confidence, team support, leadership skills, and success to back it up. Only time will tell if the Eagles made the right decision, but I believe the Philadelphia Eagles may have just left their franchise savior walking right out the door.